The family of one Michael Myers is an interesting thing to look at, and the reason why I say that is because when we look at the makeup, the way we've come to understand in the first two films, there was Michael, his older sister Judith, and his baby sister Laurie. Now, of course, we know that Michael would come to kill Judith, which would in turn put him into Smith Grove's sanitarium, which is a main staple of the franchise, as we know. But it's in that case that we then understand that he escapes and then goes after his baby sister Laurie, who at this time is adopted, has the last name of Strode. And it is Laurie's family that is the interesting thing, and the thing that I want to focus on in this video, because here's the thing, I think. Now, I'm going to make another video eventually in this series where I'm going to talk about ways that Michael could come back and how this could be, these potential new trilogy of films could potentially carry it on, but I digress a bit, and I have a good theory. I have a theory that I'm going to share that one of you have expressed, which I think is also something that is possible out there. But we're going to focus today on the family, and it ends up being Laurie's family that I think we need to look at, because Laurie is the one who, unlike her siblings, is able to have children. She has 3 children, 2 girls and a son. Out of them, the girls will pass on, but it's the girls that we know that ended up having children themselves. And in doing that, that is the interesting thing. So if we look at the family tree, we see that there is Jamie Lloyd, there is John Tate, and there is Karen Strode Nee Nelson. Now, we've gone into how all of them have different names, and so I'm not going to digress in that, but I'm going to focus on these 3 for a second, for this video. Jamie Lloyd, we know, was 9 years old when she had her first encounter with her uncle Michael Myers. It is at this time that we start to see certain things set itself up. The cult of Thorn, the idea that Michael is cursed through Thorn, and that he is supposed to kill every last member of his family in order to be released from the curse. The curse seems to have given him supernatural abilities, something that we can argue goes through all the films that he appears in, from Halloween 1 to Halloween Ends. But it is the important thing here that we see that there is Stephen Lloyd / Doyle, and we have to wonder what's going on there. There is some speculation within the film that Michael is the father, so that Stephen is both son and grandnephew to Michael Myers. There are some that say, like the producers, that it was something else that impregnated Jamie Lloyd, but overall there is this desire, this seemingly overarching story that they wanted not just Michael to kill Stephen, but possibly even transfer his essence over. And we do get some of that idea within this trilogy, as well as the Blumhouse trilogy. We see that Danny Lloyd seemingly had some kind of psychic connection to Michael after Jamie's passing. Jamie had a psychic connection to Michael, and it's rumored that that would have also been something that we see in Stephen. In Halloween Ends, we see with Corey Cunningham that this same kind of connection is there, in where it appears that Michael is giving off some of his essence or power or whatever we want to say to Corey, and Corey becomes sort of a copycat of sorts to Michael, but is not fully enveloped, possibly because once and for all, he's not a Lloyd, he's not a Myers, he's not a blood member of the family. So it makes you wonder in that. But Stephen Lloyd is a survivor. While Jamie is passed on, we now see that we have Laurie Strode and Stephen Lloyd. The next connection we would see is John Tate. And John Tate really doesn't show any of those same things that we see going on, but there still seems to be some kind of connection. If you watch H20, you find out, you start to see that perhaps somehow, somewhere, someplace, there is a psychic connection between uncle and nephew here. And while this was never fully fleshed out in another film, you have to wonder if, because of that, like I've theorized, that Tommy Doyle may have given Stephen Lloyd into the care of his uncle, John Tate was the person that stayed away from Haddonfield for fear that he would put himself and Stephen's lives in danger. So, well, there it is. There's nothing really more to go on, but John Tate is another survivor in this. The other child of Laurie is, of course, Karen Nelson, her married name. And she sadly dies at the end of Halloween Kills. Honestly, I think if Halloween Kills and the whole COVID thing didn't happen, I think perhaps she would have come back. But then, I really don't think we feel the, what do I want to call it, but the urgency, the nastiness, all that stuff of Michael being a killer. I think it fills in with him having to kill every member of his family. So we are left with Laurie and Allison at the end of that film, and it goes into ends, and of course we do see what happens. And I think the fact that Michael meets his demise at the hands of Laurie, the way it happens, which I know is divisive by some and everything else, but I think it is a perfect ending, because when we look at what has happened as he has hunted down his family, we look at Michael has been shot out a window, survives, blown up in a hospital, survives, shot down a well, survives. We can't say what happens between Halloween 5 and 6 because we don't really know. We know he ultimately survived Halloween H20 because he replaced himself with a ambulance driver. And then, well, we know he survives Buster Rhymes, which we will get to that in a video. So it really does come up that he survives all these attempts on his life until finally he meets it at the hands of Laurie Strode. And we know how that goes. She tosses him into the chopper, I don't know what to call it, the meat grinder, the paper shredder of metal. There is no coming back from that, some would say. I think there are some theories that are out there that work. We will get to those, but why did I want us to focus on this? I wanted us to focus on this because at the end of the day, the last people standing in the Myers family are Laurie, John Tate, Stephen Lloyd, and Allison Nelson. she's left with a son and 2 grandchildren. And let's hope that she is able to survive. Could Michael come back? Yeah. There's a couple of ways. Some might be stupid, some might be interesting. But we'll get to that in another video. In this video, I wanted us to just focus on that. Focus on who's standing. Like, this battle takes place over a 40-year period. Starts with a teenage high school girl who ends with her being a grandmother of 2 and one of her 3 children surviving. Not the greatest video, I know, but I promise next week we'll get back on track. Geek out.